Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty fundamental, something that's been working nonstop since before we were even born. The human heart. I mean, think about it. It beats roughly 100,000 times a day, every single day. Just wow. But how much do we really get about, what keeps it ticking, and maybe more importantly, what can make it stop? Sometimes quietly, sometimes not so quietly. Yeah, so our mission today is really to give you a kind of shortcut. A shortcut to understanding the biggest killer worldwide heart disease, which, and this is the kicker, is also hugely preventable. We're going to unpack some science, share some really powerful human stories, and dig into some surprising facts about heart health, and also the incredible things being done to save lives.
It's definitely a journey with two sides, isn't it? On one hand, you've got these silent everyday risks, things we often just completely miss. And then on the other hand, these huge leaps of medical faith, really, moments that totally change the game for treating heart conditions.
Okay, so let's start there with those silent whispers.
Yeah.
Because when we think heart attack, we usually picture someone grabbing their chest,
Yeah.
right? Dramatic. But it's not always like that. Sometimes the signs are way more subtle, these unseen risks. Take Michael, he was, 46, worked in IT, seemed healthy, no obvious symptoms. Then one day, just a bit of the jaw pain, heartburn maybe. You thought, oh, indigestion. Hours later, he collapsed.
Yeah, and what Michael had was a silent heart attack, no classic warning signs at all, which just completely blows up that, movie image of a heart attack. And the really crucial thing here, about 1 in 5 heart attacks are actually silent. And this happens more often in certain groups, people with diabetes, for instance, and critically, women often experience very different symptoms.
Right, like Natsia's story. She was 37, a teacher. Just felt exhausted, nauseous, short of breath. No chest pain, though. And she went to the doctor, and they told her it was probably anxiety.
Anxiety. But it wasn't. Turned out Natsia had a 90% blockage in her main artery. Her story really drives home that point about women. The symptoms are often atypical: fatigue, dizziness, nausea, things that don't immediately scream heart attack. And because of that, they get missed or misdiagnosed. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many warning signs are we missing? In ourselves or people we know?
That's a sobering thought. So if the signs can be that quiet, what about the things we do every day? The habits that might be, silently chipping away at our heart health. Let's talk about those controllable factors. One huge one hiding right there in our food is sodium, salt. Especially in processed foods, fast foods, it directly pushes up your blood pressure. And it's sneaky. Even stuff that looks healthy, like sauces or canned soups, can be loaded with it. These are real salt traps. So really practical thing. Try to keep sodium under 2,300 milligrams a day. That's about 1 teaspoon of table salt, roughly.
And here's another one that might surprise you. There is this phrase going around: sitting is the new smoking. And it sounds dramatic, but there's real truth to it. Our sedentary lives, they're a problem. Spending long hours sitting drastically increases heart disease risk, even if you hit the gym hard later. It's not just about the calories. It messes with your circulation, contributes to obesity, insulin resistance. It's doing damage systemically. So the tip here, just get up every 30 minutes, maybe 60 at most. Walk around, stretch, do a few squats, climb some stairs, anything to break it up. It really does help counteract that risk.
It's amazing how small movements add up.
Yeah.
And it's not just salt and sitting, is it? What about, say, sugar? And stress, yeah. Sugar's another big one. And not just the obvious stuff like cake and cookies. We're talking sodas, fruit juices, even those can have a ton of sugar. That excess sugar raises something called triglycerides fats in your blood, and it can actually damage your blood vessels over time.
Exactly. And then there's stress. Chronic stress keeps your cortisol levels high. Cortisol is that stress hormone.
Right.
And high cortisol, well, that leads to higher blood pressure, more inflammation, basically setting the stage for heart problems. So it's not just about cutting sugary drinks. It's also about actively managing stress. Things like deep breathing, maybe journaling, prayer if that's your thing, or just getting out in nature. These habits genuinely protect your heart.
It's quite a list of potential threats, isn't it? But let's flip side now. Let's talk about the heart itself. This incredible organ. It's only about the size of your fist, right? But wow, the workload. Pumping around 5 liters of blood every single minute, feeding every cell in your body.
It's an amazing piece of biological engineering, and those arteries are the vital highways for that blood. But when plaque builds up inside them, well, that's when things go wrong. It can slow or stop blood flow, and that can lead to a heart attack or a stroke. But here's something surprising. Most heart attacks don't actually happen because of a huge, slowly growing blockage. More often, it's a smaller, maybe unstable plaque that suddenly ruptures. That rupture triggers a blood clot, and that's what blocks the artery, often very suddenly.
Wow. Okay, so it's not always just a gradual clogging. It can be sudden. But thankfully, medicine has found ways to deal with these blockages, right? Things like stents, bypass surgery.
Oh, absolutely. Those interventions have saved countless lives by restoring blood flow. They're incredible tools. But the innovation hasn't stopped there. We now have even more advanced things. Artificial hearts, for example. Heart-lung machines that can take over the function completely for a while. And looking ahead, well, stem cell research is exploring ways to actually regrow damaged heart tissue. Bioengineering is working on it too. People are even talking about the possibility down the line of lab-grown hearts. It's really quite something. What's fascinating here is just how far we've come. From just understanding the basics to, well, potentially recreating the organ itself. That's a huge leap.
Thinking about leaps like that. It
Yeah.
makes you think about those turning points in medicine, those moments that seemed utterly impossible. It raises that question, doesn't it? What would you risk to give someone a second chance at life?
Hmm.
Let's go back. December 1967, Cape Town, South Africa.
Yeah.
There was this surgeon, Dr. Christian Barnard, very skilled, trained partly in the U.S., and he had this, well, audacious dream. He wanted to transplant a human heart, even though pretty much everyone thought it was impossible. Medically, ethically, just impossible.
And the person who would take that leap with him, a man named Louis Washkansky. He was 53, a grocer. His heart was failing badly, end stage. He didn't have much time left. So despite the massive risks, the fact that this had never been done before, he agreed. He famously said something like, if I can live for a day or a week, it will be worth it. The first person ever to consent to a human heart transplant. Incredible courage.
But there was another side to this story. The donor. A young woman, Denise Darval, tragically killed in a car accident. Her brain was declared dead, but her heart was still beating, kept going by machines. An unimaginable situation for her family.
Yeah, and back then the whole concept of brain death wasn't really established like it is today. So taking a beating heart, it raised profound ethical questions, deep ones.
Yeah.
But Denise's father, he made this incredibly difficult, powerful decision. He agreed to the donation. He felt her death could give life to someone else, a decision that truly changed the world.
So December 3rd, 1967, Groote Schuur Hospital. Dr. Barnard and his team started the operation. It took 9 hours, carefully removing Louise's failing heart, then meticulously connecting Denise's healthy heart in its place.
And then that moment, the moment of truth, they released the clamps, holding off the blood flow, and everyone just watched and waited. And then it started to beat. The transplanted heart, it worked. The news just exploded globally, headlines everywhere. Man receives new heart. Dr. Barnard became like an instant global celebrity. Some hailed him as a hero, a pioneer. Others accused him of playing God. It really forced society to ask not just, can we do this, but should we? A massive ethical debate began.
In Louis Washkansky, he lived for 18 days after the surgery, but then sadly he died of pneumonia. His immune system was weakened by the drugs needed to prevent rejection.
Right. But even though he only survived 18 days, his case proved something monumental. Human heart transplantation was possible. That single operation kicked off decades of progress. Better anti-rejection drugs were developed. Surgical techniques got much safer. Survival rates climbed steadily. And today, over 5,000 heart transplants happen worldwide every year, giving people a real second chance at life. And it all started with that one incredibly brave choice back in 1967.
Wow, what a story. So we've gone from these hidden, everyday risks all the way to these historic medical breakthroughs. But let's bring it back home, back to you, listening right now. Because the really empowering thing is you don't need to be a surgeon to protect your own heart. It really comes down to some key habits. Things like, focusing on whole foods, fruits, veggies, nuts, lean protein. Moving your body every day, even just 20 or 30 minutes of walking makes a big difference. Getting enough sleep is crucial too. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Poor sleep is linked to higher blood pressure, obesity, and of course avoiding smoking is massive. Limiting alcohol too. These things really add up.
Absolutely. And don't forget regular checkups. Getting your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar checked regularly. Think of them as your personal early warning system. Simple tests that can catch problems early when they're much easier to manage.
And there's one more connection we should touch on. It's maybe less tangible, but really important. The link between our emotions and our heart health. You know that phrase, broken heart. Well, sometimes emotional pain really can break your heart.
It's actually a real medical condition. It's called broken heart syndrome, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy is the technical term. It's often triggered by intense grief or shock or extreme emotional stress, and it causes a sudden weakening of the heart muscle. It can actually mimic a heart attack pretty closely. The good news is it usually heals over time. But it's a stark reminder, isn't it, of that powerful connection between our mind, our emotions, and the physical health of our heart. So, protecting your heart isn't just about diet and exercise, it's also about looking after your emotional well being.
It really makes you see the heart differently, doesn't it? It's so much more than just a pump. It's like
Mm.
a memory keeper, the rhythm of our lives,
Yeah.
a quiet warrior just doing its job. Every beat really is a gift. And it underscores how important it is to listen to our bodies, to listen to our hearts before things get serious.
Definitely. And when you think about it, those everyday choices we make about food, movement, stress, they connect back to that incredible courage shown back in 1967. Sometimes science doesn't just advance in small steps. Sometimes it moves forward in heartbeats, fueled by hope, courage, and generosity.
So as we wrap up, maybe something to think about. Considering everything we've talked about, the heart's resilience, its vulnerability, its incredible history, what's one thing, maybe one new understanding or one small habit you'll start today? How will you honor the